Am I the a-hole for making my boyfriend eat fast food for a week? My boyfriend grew up in a house that valued outdated gender norms. The women were always responsible for cooking and cleaning, so he didn't learn how to do any of that for most of his life. That is, until he moved in with me after college. He's been good about a few things. He doesn't mind helping with dishes or handling the laundry. But the one thing I can't seem to get him to do is learn how to cook. The only thing he can do is microwave frozen meals. I've been trying to teach him the basics, but it seems like it goes through one ear and just comes out the other. He still can't turn on the oven or use the stove without help. The toaster is too complicated for him to use, he claims. Doesn't know how to boil eggs, cook rice, or even how to measure out ingredients using cups. I just don't understand why he can't grasp this, but is fine with other things. Here's the part where I may be an a-hole. I went on a trip 2 weeks ago for work. I'm in charge of buying groceries. We have separate accounts. And I realized how expensive his frozen meals actually are. $3 to $4 each. I said, screw it, and bought the easiest ingredients I could find for a lot cheaper for him to cook on his own. He doesn't like leftovers, so me cooking ahead for him was out. Before I left, I sat him down once again and gave him a very long lesson on using the oven, toaster, and stove, as well as how to boil/scramble eggs, toast a piece of toast, boil rice/noodles, and heat up pasta sauce. I also taught him how to pan fry things like onions and other veggies and how to tell when they were ready. In case he didn't want to cook both lunch and dinner, I also bought things to make salads and fixing for sandwiches. I come back a week later and he is angry. He claims I practically left him to starve and how I know he has trouble cooking. I retaliate, saying I showed him what to do, and I get a whole range of excuses. Setting the oven/stove temperature is too complicated. He cut his finger chopping onions and couldn't chop any until his cut healed. He only likes the salad kit, so everything is balanced. Apparently, he only ate sandwiches, canned goods, and fast food for a week. He thinks I'm a major a-hole for not telling him I'm not buying his frozen meals and leaving him alone to fend for himself. On one hand, I do think it was wrong of me to not tell him I didn't buy his meals. And as someone who grew up in a home pretty much only boiled hot dogs and veggies, and only properly learned how to cook after moving out, I do feel for him. But at the same time, after a few months of not getting the simplest concepts, I'm left feeling partially justified in my actions. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Info, how old are you two and how long have you been living together? He's 23 and I'm 25. We've been officially together for 2 years but only moved in with each other 2 months ago. Not the a-hole, but I say this. 2 months is not a lot of time for someone who never had to cook a day in his life to fully grasp it sometimes. He's an a-hole for his overreaction, but only you will know this. If he's actually trying to learn and failing or just refusing to learn. The way he's treating cooking is a lot different from the way he treated learning how to clean. Once he saw how I was washing the dishes or removing stubborn stains in clothes, he took over and asked me questions. With cooking, he doesn't ask any questions or step in to try. I really don't want to believe he's being malicious on purpose, but your comment makes me think otherwise. How did he eat before y'all moved in together? Did he not want you to go on this trip without him? He could be trying to guilt you into not doing that again. This is the first time he's been away from home. His mother was always responsible for cooking for him and his family. He's never had a problem with me leaving before and just buying him what he wants. It's just that money's tight right now. Our rent went up and it seems like everything's getting more expensive. Info, why are you with some guy who can't manage to use a toaster? I'm much more concerned with the inability to measure something in a cup. Weaponized incompetence. Anyone can use a toaster, but boyfriend just wants OP to cook for him forever. OP, not the a-hole. You are not responsible for your boyfriend's food. Please consider if you want to be his free live-in cook. Also, nobody died from eating sandwiches for a week. Your boyfriend is manipulating you into feeling guilty. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting to make my boyfriend homeless because of my lunch habits? Alex, male 30, and I, female 33, got together in late 2019 and recently decided to move in together. I asked for a trial run where we both kept our flats for a few months, so no one loses their place if it doesn't work out. He had issues with this, but I held firm that it was for everyone's benefit, and he eventually agreed. We decided he'd stay with me as my flat is bigger and closer to his work, then after a few months we'd look for a house. I work at home and he's now close enough to his office to come back for lunch. He initially assumed we'd be eating lunch together each day because I'm home, but I don't eat lunch and I don't take a break for it. My preference is to take smaller breaks when I want them and eat a snack around 3 p.m. A piece of fruit and a bag of nuts is my go-to. This has been an issue since he moved in. He walked in while I was on calls 2 days ago, running and loudly commented about it being lunchtime in the UK. I work for an international organization. I was furious, as it prompted an unnecessary and awkward conversation with my boss, who was concerned I was risking burnout. He agreed to not going forward, although my position is that during his lunch hour, we don't really need to make time to see each other at all, as he'll be back for the day in 5 hours. The issue is he then started insisting I need to eat breakfast and lunch, even if he's not included. For context, I gained some weight when I started working from home, and my current eating habit suits my schedule while keeping my weight where I want it. His claim is that I starve myself to log in as soon as I wake up, and that I'm too obsessed with work to take breaks. I've explained that my eating habits suit me, and I don't want to change them, but he uses my eating normally at a weekend as some kind of gotcha and won't accept what I'm saying. He brings it up daily. This is a problem, but not the problem. The problem is that this has been going on for nearly a month, and it just isn't the life for me. We sat down to talk this evening, and I said that I'm not enjoying living together, and it's too much too soon. So I'd like him to move back to his place this weekend. Turns out, he did not keep the flat. He gave it up straight away and moved his stuff to his mom's. His reasoning being he knew we'd be fine. Dear reader, we are not fine. And now he says I need to put the effort in to work through this and compromise, and that I'm too angry to talk. And me being a workaholic is going to cost us the relationship, so we will calm down and talk about it another time. My position is that him lying about his place is a deal breaker even if the rest wasn't. My best friend just had a baby and my mom is on holiday, so I have no one to tell me if I'm out of order. Guys, am I the a-hole? Edit. So I realized after posting this, and after he stormed out, that there's a bonus element here. We agreed that because we were both keeping our flats, he wouldn't contribute to my rent/bills because he still had all his normal outgoings. He has bought groceries a few times and took me out for a meal the first weekend he came, but other than that, he has been living for free. I am livid. Not the a-hole. If you're not happy, you're not happy. You can't seriously be expected to stay in a situation that makes you miserable. It's time to move on from this relationship. And he won't be homeless. He can stay at his mom's with the rest of his stuff. I guess what I haven't made clear is that the eating thing is the only real problem we have. So I might be the a-hole because I can't see why this would be happening if he wasn't concerned. The relationship was otherwise pretty perfect before this, and it feels super petty even if it has been driving me up the wall. It's just so weird. Except the eating thing is not the only real problem. 1, he lied to you about keeping his place. 2, he doesn't respect your boundaries. 3, he is trying to manipulate you into doing what he wants. 4, he is gaslighting you into believing he is right. And on your post, you say the fact that he lied about keeping his place is a deal breaker anyways. So why are you questioning yourself? Next story. Am I the a-hole for being upset at my husband for what he got me for my birthday? My 39th birthday was last week. Months ago, I was talking with my mom about a part of our state that I love to visit, and she mentioned that she has never been there. I told her we should go together sometime, and we started planning it. We ended up deciding on going there for my birthday. During the planning, we realized that my mom, my brother, and I had never been on a trip together, just the 3 of us, so we invited my brother too. My husband was fully supportive of us taking this trip, and would be staying home with our 3-year-old son and our dog. Before we left last week, my husband gave me the gifts he bought me for my birthday. He got me some comfy pajamas, a sun hat, and some good wine and cheese to bring with on a trip. Normally, I would be totally okay with that gift as we don't really splurge on birthday gifts anymore. But he had been talking about getting me a smartwatch and new luggage for my trip ever since we started planning it. He knows I can be kind of picky about gifts as I have exchanged some of the gifts he's got me in the past for different colors or options. But this time, I told him to just pick something out for me as I want those things for the trip. He offered instead to go shopping with me so that I could pick out exactly what I want. Because if I take them on a trip and don't like them, it's not likely I could return or exchange them. I thought that was a good idea. But life got busy, and before I knew it, it was the week of our trip and we hadn't had a chance to actually go shopping together. So the time comes for us to leave, and part of me was expecting my husband to surprise me with a new watch or weekend bag. But he didn't. I admit I was pretty disappointed that he didn't take the initiative to just get me those things on his own. I tried not to let it bother me during the trip, but it was always kind of in the back of my mind. After we got back, I mentioned to him that I was disappointed that he didn't get me to watch and bag like he said he would. He told me that he thought we had agreed to do it together, but I told him he knew how busy we were, and it wouldn't have been much effort for him to just do it on his own. He got offended and told me that I just spent thousands of dollars on a nice, relaxing trip with my family while I stayed home and took care of everything, and I'm complaining about a watch and a bag? I told him that he knew how much I was looking forward to having those items for my trip, and I'm just disappointed that he didn't realize that and take the opportunity to do something special for me. He apologized for ruining my trip, but I know it wasn't sincere and he's just telling me what he thinks I want to hear. I offered to go shopping with him sometime to pick them out and he told me to just do it myself. Now I feel like crap, and I know he's mad at me for being ungrateful for the things he did get me and for allowing me the opportunity to have a trip like that with my family. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole because you set up a damned if you do and damned if you don't scenario for your husband. The two of you had agreed to go together to pick out exactly what you want. Life got in the way of that plan. If he had done it on his own, there was just as high a likelihood you would have been upset it wasn't exactly the color, size, kind you wanted, or that he had done it without you despite your prior agreement. This was a no-win for your husband no matter what he did, so he chose the better option for not wasting a lot of money on something you may not like. This. Opie, how often is your husband walking on eggshells trying to meet your standards? He sounds exhausted and like he's already used to these no-win scenarios. Please check your behavior before you fall into a pattern of emotional abuse. Granted, maybe this is only a gift-giving issue and not typical, in which case I apologize for reading into it. But the fact that you admit he got you appropriate and thoughtful presents and still went after him because you didn't get exactly this one thing is not great. He sounds exhausted. I'm exhausted just reading about Opie. I can't imagine how her husband feels. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my wife because she didn't clean the house? The situation happened last Friday, but I'm still so upset about it. I, 28 male, and my wife, 27 female, have been married for 3 years now. She has always been a bit messy, but I'm not the cleanest person in the world, so it hasn't bothered me at all. We had recently welcomed our son 5 months ago, and he is pretty easy to handle. He does all the normal baby stuff, but is easier to calm down, so that's a plus. However, my wife has been suffering from PPD and has become very messy. When I was on paternity leave, I could help her more since she didn't want to go to therapy, and housework and baby work has led to me shouldering a bit more responsibility. But I love my wife and kids, so I don't mind. The issue is that since I was on leave, I missed my turn to host our monthly get-together. My department does this thing where every month one of us hosts the rest as a bonding experience. It is done at our respective houses where the host entertains the people, introduce their family and whatnot. I was supposed to host it, and I was thinking that I would reserve a spot at a restaurant instead. I told my wife my plan, and she insisted that I host it here. She has been to these get-together and loved them. I asked her if she would be okay, and she said she could handle it. After I placed the pre-orders for food and other necessities, I sat my wife down and asked her if she could manage to keep the house clean for that day. If not, I would hire housekeeping to do it. She said that I shouldn't waste unnecessary money and that we should keep it clean. I told her that I would leave early that day to get everything ready. Come to the day of the event and I'll leave work early and my house is a mess. Food stains on the wall, baby food on the floor, and my son is crying because of a dirty diaper. I was so angry. I changed his diaper and found my wife upstairs lying in her bed. I asked what was going on, and she said that she couldn't get out of bed. The mess was too big to clean, so I tried to get a reservation at a restaurant, but none of them had a space for such a big gathering. I had to end up canceling the event. My coworkers were really understanding, but it was still humiliating. I told her how upset I was because I asked her to do something that she agreed on, but she blamed the baby and started to cry. I didn't bother comforting her and have been sleeping on a couch since then. I might be wrong because I'm angry at a woman that had PPD, but she told me she was able to handle it. I feel stupid for believing that. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, multiple people have been asking as to why she isn't in therapy. It's because she doesn't want to go. She's in denial about her condition and doesn't think anything is wrong with her. I've brought up therapy, different types of treatment, and have even asked her best friend to talk to her for me. Whenever I ask, she insists that she's fine. She's shut down the first two options, and whenever I bring it up, it ends in a fight. When her best friend tried to help her, she messed up and said that I sent her. My wife exploded and cussed me out for trying to trick her. I'm getting tired. Any advice is welcome. My wife doesn't do anything because I've been doing all the housework since she gave birth. I cook, clean, sweep, do the dishes and laundry, mop, etc. I also take care of the kid when I come back from work. I'm also the sole breadwinner. I do everything because I love my wife and I want her to take a break. Probably will be shot down for this, but if her PPD is that bad that she's lying in bed while her baby is covered in a dirty nappy, she either needs serious help or someone needs to be with the baby to make sure he's clean and fed and safe. I agree with this. That is not okay. No a-holes here. Sort of. Listen, your wife needs help and understanding. When you ask her, she thought she could handle it. The problem is that one moment you can, the next you can't. Prognosticating is impossible. So give her a break. And give yourself a break too. Your coworkers understand. It's not a humiliation. Stuff happens. Suggestion? Get that housekeeper thing going. Even once a week or every other week would take pressure off both of you. Yes, she thought she could handle it. Someone with depression, I think I can do something but end up not getting it done because the depression overwhelmed me. She wants to be back to her normal self. She needs help, not freezing her out.